everyone. I'm Adam Brown, and this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, August 14th. On today's show, we'll hear some more reflections from Shell Point staff and residents who went through Hurricane Charley and lived to tell about it. And we'll get yet another tip about dealing with a big storm from Hurricane Bob. But first, a few reminders. The Susie Q has added some special trips to the normal lunch runs to Rum Runners and The Joint. Today is the first of 3 trips over to the nearby St. Charles Yacht Club. Now, Yacht Club isn't just the name of a restaurant. This is a real yacht club, and so there are a few expectations of patrons that might be a little different from our normal lunch stops across the river. You need to know that resort attire is required, so no t-shirts or flip-flops this time. They are looking for collared shirts, but mercifully no jacket is required. After all, it's August in Florida. Well, okay, I don't know what to tell you about my jacket, but you don't have to wear a jacket this time if you go to the St. Charles Yacht Club. Also, the Yacht Club only accepts credit cards for lunch, so leave your cash at home and pack the plastic. If you can't make today's trip, the Susie Q will be heading over to St. Charles Yacht Club again next Thursday the 21st and a third time on Thursday the 28th. The Day Respite program at the Arbor offers structured daily activities with supervised care and companionship designed and delivered by Shell Point staff. For the caregiver, Day Respite services offer a much-needed break, whether it is on a weekly basis or just as an occasional day free from the challenges of providing care to their loved one. Tomorrow, there will be a special presentation about Day Respite taking place at the Arbor starting at 9 a.m. If you'd like to attend, please call Pat Turner at 225-2921. Also coming up soon at the Arbor and King's Crown are the annual tea and tour days. You are invited to join Shell Point's assisted living staff at King's Crown on Tuesday, August 19th, or at the Arbor on Thursday, August 28th, for an opportunity to learn about assisted living services so you can plan for your future care needs. Enjoy a light breakfast while Rita Southern, Director of Assisted Living and Resident Support Services, provides a brief presentation to answer your questions such as, when is the right time to move into assisted living? How do I gain access to this service? Is there a waiting list? What costs should I be made aware of? What size apartments are available? Each event will give you an opportunity to take a personally guided tour of furnished apartments and to meet your case manager. You will gain valuable insight to help you prepare and plan for your future assisted living needs, whether it is for 6 months from now or 10 years from now. Residents are welcome to bring a family member, and please note seating is limited. To make a reservation to attend either event, call 454-2077.
Hi, I'm Teri Kollath, and I'm here with Dr. Carol Clark, facilitator of this medical center, and we're talking about a new opportunity for volunteering. Thank you for joining me, Carol.
Thank you for asking.
You have come up with a request that's gotten us pretty excited. The Pavilion Administration and the board of the Pavilion Auxiliary, because we're always looking for a new way to serve. Tell us a little bit about what you envision us doing in this medical center lobby.
Well, I've identified a need over the couple of years that I've been facilitating that we have a lot of traffic here, and we have traffic that's unrelated to medical center appointments. So often I'll come out from the door and I'll see that we have a UPS or a FedEx person knocking on the glass asking where to go with a certain delivery. Or we have folks looking for the hospice unit and not knowing where to go in the hallway, or looking for the dentist. And we're happy to help them, but if you see us in the mornings, there are sometimes 30 or 40 people in here needing the medical center staff attention, and then the extra attention needed by people who are just looking for their way around.
Sure, and that's right up our alley.
Yes.
For the auxiliary volunteers. What a great thing to be at a desk, which is going to be right here.
Yes.
To be at a desk and to be able to say, hi, welcome to the medical center. What can I do for you?
Yes.
I mean, they could be going to the pharmacy.
Exactly.
They could be going to visit someone in the pavilion, and from here to where they are is needing some direction.
Exactly.
Well, what kinds of duties do we envision will happen at this desk besides just giving directions?
Well, I'm looking for a really friendly smile, because I want people to have the feeling that they are at Shell Point and they're here where we offer very good customer service.
Right.
So we need someone who has a very welcoming smile. And beyond that, we're going to be also introducing a new program soon with the patient portal.
Right.
And we're hoping that our volunteer staff can help folks as they come through and want to leave a copy of their email address for that portal. Or maybe they forgot the password, and anyway, that person who is volunteering here can help us as we work through residents' introduction to the portal.
Sure, because that's, again, is something that maybe sounds a little more complicated than it really is. So other opportunities we'll have here to be of service are when the mail comes in for this whole building.
Yes.
And there are a lot of offices upstairs too. UPS you mentioned, maybe somebody is delivering flowers or something.
Yes.
So that'll be very helpful. And then, most important to those of us with the auxiliary, is coming to visit a resident who's in the
Yes.
pavilion. And where are they? What floor are they on? Before you get to the elevator to find that out. Well, we realize that we have one wonderful reception desk at the front entrance already. This is a second opportunity. So some of our volunteers may choose to move out to this desk. So we actually have opportunities at both desks now. So we're going to have a meeting. And I'd like to just say to you watching today, if you think one way you'd like to be involved in your community here at Shell Point is to serve right in this lobby at this desk or at our front desk in the main entrance to the pavilion, we're having a meeting, and it's going to be on Thursday, August 14th, and it is going to be at 1:15 in the Osprey Room on the island. You can give me a call to find out more information. I'd love to talk with you about this new opportunity. We hope that we can say to Dr. Carol Clark and everybody in this building, we're here to help.
We'll be glad to receive it. Thank you.
Now, when a hurricane comes to town, you don't need any reservations, but the bill at the end of it all can be very high nonetheless. When Charley had finished its devastation in southwest Florida exactly 10 years ago, it was the 5th costliest hurricane in American history at that time. Thankfully, the residents of Shell Point were safe in the hurricane shelter, built specifically for that purpose. On this, the 10th anniversary, we have these reflections from Shell Point residents and staff who survived the storm.
I'm still so impressed by the staff I work with and the things they were doing.
Shell Point knows how to take care of us.
I was so impressed that Shell Point had everything taken care of. I just felt very safe, and that they had everything just the way it needed to be.
And I thought to myself, this is an example of what a tremendous staff we have at Shell Point. It really came home to me.
Gratitude and the overwhelming thank yous that we received from the residents for how Shell Point employees performed during the storm was tremendous and very gratifying.
There is an intense passion on our part to do the right thing in the right way for our people. It's going to be the first thing that drives us day in and day out.
Knowing that there's a whole team who works together and plans this strategy and reviews it after the episode is passed and makes it better for the next time.
The plan worked. Of course, we had a lot of lessons learned that have been incorporated into each year. And let's keep in mind that the very next year, we prepared the shelter for evacuation with Hurricane Wilma.
The following year, they had another hurricane, as you recall. We're up on the 8th floor of the Oakmont. And I'll tell you, we rode that out, and I said to myself, I'll never do that again if I can help it. It was noisy, windy, and the sliding glass doors started going back and forth about 2 inches. And it felt like you're in a kettle drum up there. I mean, it was scary.
Shell Point administration is right. Don't argue. If you're told to evacuate, go, because you'll be safe there. You won't be cool, but we have more fans now, but you will be well fed, you'll be well cared for, you'll have plenty of water.
It certainly would not have been the thing to do to try to get away.
When people left South Florida in droves during Andrew, it was a stalemate on I-95 going north. The alley was full going west. I mean, there was just no way to get out of the city, nor was there a way back in when it was over. I mean, we had no gasoline. It was very, very difficult. So I was glad to stay here.
It's just amazing how a parking garage is a shelter. I drove up into the top of the garage that had been the hurricane shelter, and I just sat in my car and remembered everything that happened, and I hadn't been up in the top of the garage again. Yeah, a lot happened in the top of a parking garage, and everybody survived.
It was a unique experience that I don't want to have again.
And we got out of it alive and well, a little bit hot, but that was all. So it was a lot to be grateful for.
At the church, we got the idea of having like I don't want to call it a hurricane party, but we had a party for the residents that were displaced. I think they were in the guest house at that time. And we had ice cream sundaes, and we played games, and we did things to try to say, we'll make it through. You know, we'll be able to weather this as well. We survived the storm, and now we'll survive the aftermath.
You see a lot of resiliency, a lot of adaptability in people's lives, and it's really quite remarkable to watch older people go through something like that.
I can't express well enough my gratitude for their understanding and their absolute support. And it was clearly an atmosphere of we're in this together.
It was something that I'm thankful that I was able to be a part of. It interestingly gave me an opportunity to make friends with people that I had not met before.
When you're going to that shelter, you're not going with a group of strangers, people that you can't trust, people you're suspicious of. You're going there with your next door neighbor or friends who live in your same building.
We are so interrelated and so interdependent that when a crisis like that occurs, to be able to depend on each other is everything.
While I pray that we never have to see another hurricane right here again, I'm confident knowing that if we do, we'll be prepared.
For the next evacuation, that we'll be right on time and taking care of business as usual, as we always do at Shell Point.
So I've signed up to go back the next time we have one.
Not that there's going to
No, we're not going to ever have another one, but I'll keep the kit hand in ready.
There's no doubt hurricanes are a force to be reckoned with. But here at Shell Point, preparation is the key to surviving and thriving during these storms. Now we have another helpful tip on how you can be ready in case another hurricane ever comes our way from our staff expert, Hurricane Bob.
Hurricanes bring lots of rain, sometimes hours before the storm, sometimes hours after. So have a good strong umbrella, a raincoat, and a pair of boots wouldn't hurt either. I'm Bob Southern, and that's good hurricane season advice. Okay, kill the rain. Good help is so hard to find.
Now it's time to cover all of today's happenings, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hi, I'm Jill Aldrink, and I'm here with Bev Chanley to share with you what's happening today, Thursday, August 14th. At 7:15, we have Health Connections Bend, Breathe, and Balance in the Health Club. 8 o'clock, the Men's Golf Association will be meeting at the Shell Point Golf Club. Also at 8 o'clock is the Round Robins Doubles Tennis at the tennis courts in the Woodlands. 8:30 is Beach Day. Island Pickup begins at 8:30, Woodlands at 8:40, and Eagles Preserve at 8:50. The Paddlers Club will be meeting at 8:30 at the kayak storage area. At 9:15, Shuffleboard at the Shuffleboard courts. Current events will be meeting at 9:30 in the game room at the Woodlands. And the ladies match play tennis will be meeting at the tennis courts at 9:30 as well. Our final 9:30 activity is Samba, the card game, and they will be meeting in the Sable Room at the Woodlands. At 9:45, Introduction to Beginning Line Dancing. We'll be meeting in the Health Club. At 10:15, Basic Line Dancing will follow, again in the Health Club. And at 10:30, the Susie Q will be heading out to the St. Charles Yacht Club for lunch, and sign up is required for that trip on the Susie Q. Bev, what do we have going on this afternoon?
Well, Jill, we're going to start at 12:45 with Mahjong. That's played in the library lounge on the island. We have a Health Connections class at 1:30. This one is Aqua Pilates Stretch at the Life Quest Aquatic Center. We'll move to 2:45 for a Health Connections class called Balance and Mobility Training Level 2. That'll meet in the Health Club, and that's currently full. We're going to move all the way to 4 o'clock now for the Seamstress's weekly visit. She'll be in the Osprey Room. At 4:30, we have Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in the Sable Room at the Woodlands. Also at 4:30, we have indoor bocce. That's set up down in the Health Club on the island. And we'll round out the day with a 6:30 pinochle game. That's in the library lounge on the island. Well, we're sure glad you joined us today. We'll be back here again tomorrow with the weekend edition.
Menus for Thursday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is pork pot roast with roasted root vegetables and new potatoes. The dinner special is the Crystal Carving Board for $12.95, and the soup of the day is country cabbage. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Thursday, the special is grilled chicken and cheese panini with fruit for $7.25. The dinner special is Thai night for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Thursday are grilled New York strip for $17.95 or linguine and clams for $13.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church. And you know, one of my favorite comedians when I was growing up was Bill Cosby. I remember having a 33 RPM album, which I listened to over and over again. I had his routines almost memorized. And the title of the album that I had was Why Is There Air? One of the episodes he describes involves the time he went to college. He attended Temple University as a physical education major. And then, of course, as only Bill Cosby could spin it, the story gets, embellished. He tells about dating a brilliant young woman who was a philosophy major, and she would go around verbalizing deep philosophical thoughts and would say things like, "Why is there air?" To which Bill Cosby would reply, "Well, every phys ed major knows why there's air. There's air to blow up volleyballs, air to blow up basketballs." You know, we do kind of take air for granted, don't we? We are surrounded by it, we inhale it, we live because of it, but we rarely think about it. They say fish are not aware that they're wet, so accustomed they become to their environment. It's only when they're taken out of the water that they become aware of water because of its absence, and we're the same way with air. We take it for granted unless we're deprived of it. You know, the Life Quest program here at Shell Point identifies 6 dimensions which encourages personal and community well-being. They include the natural environment, the physical, the emotional, the educational, the social and community, and there's the spiritual. And the Village Church is invested, as you might imagine, in the spiritual for obvious reasons. However, I like to think of the spiritual dimension as air. And I like to think of the other 5 dimensions as the parts of an automobile tire. Without air in the tire, the parts of the tire are damaged and eventually will be destroyed as the car is driven. Without the spiritual dimension, the other aspects of our lives lose their purpose and meaning, even their function. We live in an age in which we take for granted the air in our tires. I'm sure you remember the days when automobile tires weren't so reliable. If you were to take a road trip back in those days, it would not have been surprising to have a flat tire. They were not all that uncommon. Today, however, we hardly ever even think about the air in our tires, and blowouts are fairly rare. We do, however, still depend on the air in our tires, and if we experienced a blowout, the results might be catastrophic, especially if we were driving 70 miles an hour on an interstate. We human beings are spiritual beings. That is the way we have been made. And yet so often we take for granted that dimension of our lives. Our spirits are the air in our tires. Without a vibrant spiritual life, the other dimensions of life become problematic. You know, one of the things I learned as a university professor was that professors were always trying to develop models as metaphors to explain various kinds of phenomena. That's the case in nearly every field, especially in the social sciences. It's as if one professor wants to say, well, reality is like this, and then he or she would describe a model. And another professor would come along and say, no, reality is more like this, and then he or she would describe reality using a different kind of model for their metaphor. And that's how a lot of university professors spend a lot of their time, debating and arguing about models and metaphors. And so here I go presenting a model, a metaphor for describing a dimension of reality, the spiritual dimension as air in a tire. But you know, that model or that metaphor from a biblical perspective is not all that far-fetched. The idea of the spiritual as air is not something I conjured up on my own. I just didn't make it up out of, out of thin air. The Bible uses two words for spirit, and those words are both used to describe the human spirit as well as the Spirit of God. In the Old Testament, the Hebrew word is ruach, and the word literally means breath or wind. In the New Testament, the Greek word is pneuma. And guess what? That word literally means breath or wind, just like the Hebrew word. So the idea of the spiritual as air is not original with me. It is a thoroughly biblical concept. And by the way, the Greek word for spirit, pneuma, is the word from which we get our word pneumatic. And pneumatic refers to anything in which air or another gas is used under pressure in a mechanical tool or object. In fact, back in the early days of the automobile, we used to call the wheels pneumatic tires because they were filled with air. So the spiritual dimension can be understood well by the concept of air. Even air which supports and enables the other dimensions of life, like the natural environment, the physical, the emotional, the educational, the community, and the social. Like air in our tires, we do tend to take the spiritual for granted. But maybe that's not the best thing to do. Maybe we ought to become more aware of the spiritual dimension. Maybe we ought to think about it consciously. And maybe, after all, it wouldn't be such a bad idea to ask, why is there air? I hope that we see you soon in the village church or around campus. Blessings to each and every one of you.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow when we'll finish up our retrospective on Hurricane Charley, the big storm of 2004. We'll also hear from Bev Chanley about an overnight trip to Mount Dora. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, August 14th. I'm Adam Brown, and for all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.